Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we've got another sneak peek at this upcoming Friday's Wheel of Time episode. So without further ado, let's jump right in and watch this teaser.
Attend you all, she comes, the Amelin seat.
I know what Sedai do.
So he still thinks he's the dragon.
Bring the false dragon.
You know what they say about you.
You're weak.
I'm worried
hello.
about him.
I'd save him.
You're right. The dragon will either defeat the Dark One or join him. Whatever it is you're up to, you should accomplish it quickly.
You should accomplish
There's
it.
no turning back.
Wow, what's she implying there? Interesting. And we get another look at that photo. Okay. This is interesting. Alright. So let's start at the beginning of this. I love the way Leanne says, attend you all, the Amelin seat comes. Talk about a grand entrance for the Amelin seat. I think that, really stands it out from the crowd, which is really nice. Haha. Amelin seat. Yes, I like that. Then we get a look at Valon during the night once again. And we've got now another look at Matt, who is still feeling the effects of the Shadalikoff dagger. And he is still under the assumption he is a male who can channel. And so he's obviously very, very hesitant to have any sort of Aes Sedai brought to him, because he knows what they do to channelers who can channel, male channelers, of course. He's seen it firsthand with Logain when he was paraded through the streets in last week's episode. And so that's a really interesting thing that they're continuing to keep up with, at least for a portion of episode 6. And then we finally get that kind of shot we've seen of Moraine when she's at the top of the tower. I'm sure we're going to get that shot from her of behind that we got right before we got the first teaser trailer. But then, what is Rand up to here? That is really intriguing. Because he obviously goes to get his father's sword. And you can still see Matt is in the background. So it feels to me he's looking to sort of go about protecting Matt from whoever's kind of entered the room. There's a number of people of who it could be. It could be Moraine, for starters. It could be any number of the Aes Sedai, since we are in Tar Valon. Or maybe it could be a grey man. Well, no, he wouldn't even know what a grey man is, let alone be able to defend and fight off the grey man. So maybe it's some sort of other, I don't know, bandit or kind of someone sent to try and kill Matt. I really don't know. So that would be really interesting to see how that plays out. And then we've got a look at, as we've seen already in the video I released yesterday or 2 days ago now, of Logain being brought before the Amelin seat, and he's on his knees kneeling before her. I'm not really going to add anything else there because we've seen that whole clip. You can go ahead and watch it on my channel. I will leave a card in this video in the top right corner. But then, after that, we've got now what I like to think of the real interesting portions of this episode. So we've got a look at Egwene looking after Perrin after they've escaped from the White Cloaks. Now what's really interesting, and this kind of added a new dimension to their interactions, and this is from an article. I'll try and find it and leave a link here, so in case you haven't seen it, you can go ahead and read it, where Perrin howled like a flame for Egwene, and that's what kind of made his and Layla's relationship very much strained, which we could kind of pick up upon in that first episode all those weeks ago now. So these sorts of things really are now adding new dimensions to their interactions and just their relationships in general. So it's going to be really interesting to see kind of where the show takes it, because obviously this is into uncharted territory, so to speak. So yeah, And it also looks like they've now obviously made it to the safety of Tar Valon and into the White Tower, or at least in the city, because I mean we're not going to spend any sort of amount of time after their escape from the White Cloaks last episode. Then we look at the sort of devastation of a kind of, I would guess it would be a camp, although it's really hard to see what it is, but we can definitely see the dragon fang on the this kind of burnt out, I would say, doorway. So that's really interesting to see. I'm sure we're going to see some sort of continuation, or the before of what we're seeing right now. Then moving on, we've got some real interesting scenes with Moraine and Lan, and obviously accompanying dialogue where Lan is basically saying, what does he say? I actually do not have a clue what he says there. What does he say? I would save you? I would save him. Very hard to make out what's being said there. So I'm going to leave that alone. Maybe one of you guys watching the video will be able to tell me what's being said there, but I cannot make out what's being talked about. So let's move on from that. Then we've got now what looks to be a new part of Tar Valon that we're getting to see in this episode. And as we can see, Moraine has obviously made her way out from the White Tower down into the city streets. Now, what else can we make out? I think she's obviously maybe gone off to look for Rand and Matt, or maybe Egwene and Perrin, because obviously she's very much wanting to go and search and find them again, because those are her kind of 20 years worth of her life's work. She got them all and then lost them all within a space of a couple of episodes, or within the space of a few days, at least in terms of the real time. I think the city once again looks really nice. I think we've seen this with every single sort of set that they've created for the show. They've not left anything unturned. Everything is immaculate in terms of the way they've gone about creating all the sets. It feels like a real life city and world where you feel very much immersed in, and that's obviously one of the key things and factors you need for a show to kind of take off. It's no good having something that doesn't feel like authentic and realistic. Now we've got this shot, and I have a huge suspicion of what this is and how it plays off of an exclusive teaser that I had yesterday released on the channel. Now it looks to me Lan is kind of rummaging through like a sort of, I would say maybe box or container, or I would go off and say actually the crypt or the cradle of I said crypt. Crypt is a word, but it's also, the cradle that we saw in that one. I'll leave that up on the screen now in case you didn't see that, so you can kind of see where I'm going with my thought process right now. And I said that at the time, I thought that might have been Lan's cradle as a child, and maybe he'd left something, there that he's like kind of rummaging around and trying to find. Or perhaps this is just something to do with his kind of chambers, his quarters in the warder's quarters, and he's just searching for something in particular that we obviously do not know what it is yet. And then we've got now this very kind of interesting piece of dialogue between Liandrin and Moraine. Now, there's a lot you can jump to in terms of the conclusions or what is being really spoken about there, because it's obviously naturally very difficult to pinpoint exactly what they're speaking about. But Liandrin says, whatever it is you're up to, if you wish to accomplish it, you should do it quickly. Now, I don't know if this is kind of a threat to Moraine or just kind of a warning. We've seen this before, and it's something I'm kind of on the fence for, because I still feel Elida as a character merits a completely separate role and an actor to play that. And I've seen kind of the way Alana has been speaking to Moraine in past episodes about how Liandrin is gaining traction with more and more Aes Sedai in the tower, almost as if they're talking about that kind of overthrowing of Siuan that we get in book 2. Well, yeah, so it's really intriguing to see what it is they're actually having a conversation about here, whether it's kind of just a veiled threat or a kind of out in the open threat she's making towards Moraine, or whether she's just kind of being kind and saying, well, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, I would accomplish it right now. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what it is they're really speaking about in this particular portion of the episode. And then we just got a couple of scenes of the photo that was hidden behind kind of this kind of safe in Moraine's room in the wall. People are saying this could quite potentially be a kind of gift from Siuan, because as we all know in the books, and I think this is going to play out in the show, they were very much pillow friends. So yeah, during their time as novices and accepted. And so I think maybe there's something going to still be kind of, what's the word that I'm looking for, explored a little bit further in this show currently. So that should be really interesting to see where that particular kind of relationship between Moraine and Siuan goes, because of course we're no doubt going to get the scenes where we've gotten in the books where they're kind of in front of other Aes Sedai. Moraine will always get scolded by Siuan, and so it kind of looks like they're very much not friends and they're enemies. And it's obviously a facade for what's really going on behind the scenes, because it's their mission to find the Dragon Reborn and to guide the Dragon Reborn. But as we all know, Aes Sedai do not forget past events, and they know for a fact certain Aes Sedai, as we know, like for example Elida for one, she knew very much that they were pillow friends back in the day and that they're still friends. And so that's going to be interesting to see where they take that. And I think the more we see of this next episode, maybe will point us in a direction of being able to make the assumption or confirmation that they have indeed kind of put Liandrin and Elida together. I hope really they haven't done that, but it is something that they could do. So yeah, it should be really interesting to see what this next episode brings us. But yeah, you've made it to the end of the video. I hope you've all enjoyed it. If you have, of course, please leave a like on it. And if you're new around here, of course, please consider subscribing and hitting the button down below and turning on notifications. I will be back tomorrow with the episode 6 stills and breaking those down for you all as well, as I do every week. So yeah, once again, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all tomorrow.